Real estate is one of the simplest ways to build long-term wealth, and one of the easiest ways to get wrecked if you don't know what you're doing. So this show, it exists for one main reason: clarity. Me and Keith, we're talking deals, markets, financing, flips, all of it, but always through the lens of what's working, what isn't working, and why. I'm your host, Dayton Lindsey, and I promise you that this podcast is going to help you save time, money, and you from painful lessons. So, let's get into this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the First Deal Podcast Show. I'm here with Keith Gillispie again because it's his podcast as much as mine. So, Keith, you know the drill. I'm going to be asking you questions, and you are going to be forced to answer, or else we have no podcast. So,
right. Sounds good. I love it.
I hope you brought your A game today.
Always do.
So, one of my first questions for today is, what is the simplest way to decide
your microphone?
What?
You're scratching your microphone.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, like a piece of paper or something is like.
There.
Yeah. That's bad. All right, go ahead.
Okay. What is the simplest way for someone to decide their offer price? Because I know a lot of people in real estate, when they're just starting out, you always hear, you got to figure out your offer price.
Yeah.
Throw it to them first thing. But when we were talking, you have a different approach to this. So I want to hear your response to the question I asked, like the stereotypical common, how do you decide your offer? And then I want you to go into your answer that you preached for almost 10 years now.
Yeah, I like this question a lot. I get it. I get it more than 10 times a day, probably 10 to 20 times per day. I hear this all the time, and it's almost always tied to, like, what should my assignment fee be? You know, like, do you think I could get $20,000 for this? Oh my goodness. So the topic is going to be largely around MAO, M-A-O, which stands for Max Allowable Offer. A lot of wholesalers are kind of trained. They're taught you need to take ARV times 0.7 minus repairs minus your assignment fee. That's where you need to get the property under contract for. That's your max allowable offer. ARV times 0.7 minus repairs. That's what the rehabber can buy it for. But then you want to make money, so you have to get it at a steeper discount. So you're going to minus your assignment fee. And then that's what you need to get the property under contract for. That's your max allowable offer. Here's the thing. A lot of people start with that as their max allowable offer. And dare I say, they have their ARV wrong and they have their repairs wrong, because they've never been taught how to determine their ARV. And they've never done any renovations, so they don't really know what the rehab is going to cost. So a lot of times people will way overinflate what the value of the property is. It's actually only worth $340 is the ARV, but they think that it's worth $390 because a house down the street sold for $395.
Oh, okay.
There's a huge problem, like fundamentally, where people they're not trained. It's not their fault. They're just not trained on how to determine ARV. This is why I have a whole freaking course dedicated just to finding the ARV. This is why we have a whole software just to define ARV. Because if we're going to base the entire premise of the deal, right, it's ARV times 0.7 minus repairs minus whatever our assignment fee. If everything's going to be based on the ARV and we screw that up, we are destined for failure. This is pivotal.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, continue.
This is the most pivotal number. And if you screw this up and you get everything else right, you cannot succeed. The ARV is the most important number. There's a wonderful book that I love. It's called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And this is written, I believe it's written by Stephen Covey. And one of those habits is begin with the end in mind. Well, the end that you and I have in mind as real estate investors is, what could I sell this house for? Like, what's the value of the house going to be after I repair it? That's the end. And then it's on us to reverse engineer the process to today. Like, what is it going to take to get it from, right now, the condition that it's in right now, to this ideology? Ideally, it's going to look like this. Is this a $5,000? People call this like a gap analysis. Well, is the gap analysis is the repair estimate $5,000 or $55,000? So step 1 is determining the ARV. Step 2 is estimating your repairs, and step 3 is structuring the deal. Those are the 3 steps of deal analysis. Super, super easy. Step 1, analyze your comps and determine your ARV. Step 2, look at what the comps look like, look at what your house looks like, and estimate the repairs that's going to take it from this condition to this condition. And then structure it, knowing what the seller needs, knowing what you want to do with the property, what's the desired entrance strategy, what's the desired exit strategy. That is the highest and best use for the property. So it's a 3-step deal analysis, super simple. Now, what do you offer for the house? Well, I'm of the opinion that if they have something for sale, they should have a price, and that we should make offers. Here's something that, if anybody is listening to this and you're a new wholesaler, you're going to hear a lot of people say, well, why don't you just make me an offer? You're also going to hear a lot of sellers complain, well, I was talking to this real estate investor and he gave me a low-ball, dirty offer. Well, do you want to catch 22? If you tell me to make you an offer, but then you don't like the offer, then you're going to say bad things about me and say that I made you dirty low-ball offer.
That's
right?
true.
So
that's totally true.
It's absolutely a lose-lose situation, because I believe that it is our duty. Actually, before I tell you the end, I'm going to begin with the end in mind, and I'm going to practice what I preach and tell you a story of
Okay. I like stories.
Crazy. It's just like totally off the wall. If you were to come to me, Dayton, and I am in the emergency room, and I'm like the person that they call them the triage nurse. I'm the first person that you talk to when you roll into the triage room. And you come in and you say, I have the worst headache. I think I've already been through this. I've asked you this question before, right?
You might have behind the scenes, but I don't recall it, no.
All right, cool. You come
Unless
to me
it was
and you
like
say,
Ryan or something.
I have the worst headache I have ever had in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the triage call nurse. I have 2 options, right? I can make you sit down and wait until you're being seen, or I can send you straight back to go see a surgeon. What's the right call?
Well, the right call in that situation, for like the benefit of me, would be to go back and to go see the surgeon.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so a lot of people answer, well, just make them sit down, it's just a headache. And then I would ask that person, well, what he didn't tell you was that he was actually just on his motorcycle and he crashed and he hit his head on the curb. And he has a brain bleed. And his brain is literally bleeding internally, and it is swelling. And if you don't take him right now and cut a hole in his skull and relieve the pressure and drain the fluid, his brain, he will literally, like, dude's concussed, but his brain is going to swell, and it's going to have some serious damage. Whereas you just told me, now the opposite is send him back. Well, now I tell you, the dude is just dehydrated. He hasn't had enough electrolytes. He was on the field earlier this morning playing some football, totally fit, athletic build, everything looks great. He just has a terrible headache. Why? Because he didn't drink enough water. And now you're going to make this poor Sally, who's about to miscarry her baby, wait in the triage room because you took up the surgeon's spot. You're screwed either way, right? What's the correct answer? The correct answer is, I don't have enough information. I'm not making a decision to put you in the waiting room or to take you back to the surgeon. I need more information. But let's go ahead. So you send him back to the surgeon. I have this whole thing thought out. Now the surgeon comes back and he says, Dayton, I hear that you have horrible, just agonizing headache, there's 2 solutions for this one, okay? I'm going to give you 2 offers. The first one is, like when you're pregnant and when you're delivering a baby,
No, I don't know what it's like being pregnant.
they stab you in the back with the needle and they give you an epidural. And everything
Okay.
from that point lower, you can no longer feel. And so I can actually do that. I can give you an epidural right here at the very tippy top of your neck, right at the base of your head, and you will not feel any more pain. The other option is we could just surgically remove your head from your neck, and you will not feel any more pain. But either way, I guarantee when you leave this room, you will not be in any more pain. Now, which option are you going to choose?
Well, for the sake of living, obviously, I'm obviously going to choose the epidural shot in the back of my neck as opposed to decapitation, because
Okay.
you're essentially offering me either, and like these are bad offers too, just from the stance point too. You're
Yeah.
talking about like it's either basically feel like a paraplegic
Yep.
or death. Like,
So what you're telling me is you're being told to choose between 2 bad offers.
yeah.
I gave you 2 options and you don't like either option. Well, how do you feel? How do you think the seller feels when they're getting offers on their house that doesn't solve their problem? I mean, I guess it solves the
That
problem
makes
that they
sense.
told you. I need to close quickly. I need a cash as is, no contingencies, no home inspections, blah 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 blah. Blah. I need cash in 3 weeks. Otherwise, my husband is going to get picked up and go to prison, and I don't have enough money to bail him out. I don't care what it is. Maybe it solves that problem, but is it really solving their 7 layers deep problem? No, it's not. It's a terrible offer. So when you and then we get into the multiple offer crowd, right? There's
Mhm.
a lot of teachers, like gurus, that will teach. You need to give them 3 options. You need to give them a cash option. You need to give them a creative financing option, and you need to give them a listing option. And this one's going to be your lowest. This one's going to be, and if that one doesn't work, then they can go with this one. This one's going to get them a little bit more money. And if that one doesn't
Mhm.
work, at least we can refer them to a realtor, and I'm an agent or a broker or whatever, and so we get a portion of that, and then that's top dollar. They'll get the most for that. So hold on, you're telling me that we should give this person 3 uneducated, dare I say, disrespectful offers because we haven't taken the time, or we are at least unwilling to take the time to ask them some basic questions, to understand their situation, to hear their pain, address their concerns, figure out what they want their future to look like, and then create a custom plan that is absolutely perfect so that what they want to have happens, what they want to have happen happens, what they don't want to have happen doesn't happen. All of their concerns are put to rest easily, and the things that they do want along the way, that is a perfect presentation. That's why I call it a perfect presentation. In REI Automated, I teach people not to make offers. Should you
Okay.
know what your MAO is? I don't call it MAO because I don't give offers. I've never given an offer. My first deal ever in 2016, I made an offer because it was a short sale. It was listed with a realtor, and the bank said, well, if you want to buy this house and it's going to be less than the note that's owed, you need to tell me, and then I will approve it or disapprove it. So you quite literally have to make an offer because it's a bank. It's an REO. It's real estate owned
Mhm.
property. That is the last offer that I have made. Was in March of 2016. So everything after this, I have made a perfect
Happy
presentation.
10-year anniversary in like 3 months.
Yeah, thanks. That is the last time, and every single other time, I find out, what do you not want to have happen? What do you want to have happen? What are your concerns along the way? That way, when I pitch them something,
Hmm.
I am giving them exactly what they want, and everything that they don't want is not there. Most people are not. I believe that wholesalers are good people. I believe that real estate investors are good people. But I feel like people are not well trained on how to take care of folks. In the real estate investing, think about a doctor. Doctors are literally trained on bedside manner. Dentists are literally, this person is vulnerable as vulnerable gets. Like, they're numbed up, their mouth is open, and you have to sit there and talk to them as you clean their teeth for 30 minutes. They're trained on what to say and what not to say, what topics to discuss, what topics not to discuss. How do you hold your body? How close do you get? Man, I literally had a surgeon. A lot of people don't know this. I got half my tongue removed 2 years ago because we thought that I had oral cancer. Never smoked, never dipped, nothing. Just because I bite my tongue and I had a whole bunch of white stuff. I had a white ridge, and they were like, this could be cancer. So literally they cut out half my tongue. This dude, I don't mean to be like super disrespectful, but this dude was so fat that his belly the whole time was literally covering my eyeball. It was just smushed up against my face.
Ooh.
And obviously, he was trained on how to do this probably 30 years ago, but he had probably gained some weight. Okay, I digress a lot. They're trained on this, and we need to start training real estate investors and wholesalers on bedside manner. How do we properly take care of a seller? Because they're at their lowest of lows. They have been dealt a hand of cards right now that is really hard. Death, inheritance, divorce, foreclosure, dealing with tenants, health issues, safety issues, cancer, whatever, right? And they need help. And they want nothing more than to talk to somebody who will hear them and who will help them. And giving out a blind offer, knowing what to offer them, that's not going to get you the deal. I promise that will not get you the deal. Knowing what your Mayo is will not get you the deal.
Quick aside, if you're getting value out of this, make sure to hit the like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below with what you want Keith and me to cover next. It helps the channel out a lot, and it tells us what you want to learn about. Anyways, back to the video.
Should you know what your numbers are? Yes. The problem with Mayo, though, is it's void of time, which is where I think you were wanting me to go on. Man, I've sure talked a lot on this one thing. Mayo is void of time.
You are talking. Well, you're the expert here. You're the expert here.
The problem with ARV times 0.7 minus repairs is, where are my holding costs in that? We're making some assumptions that I can get this house sold in a certain amount of time, usually within like 30 to 60 days. And the moment that we introduce more time to this equation, it royally flunks. It absolutely screws you. You will be losing so much money, it's not even funny. And I have seen this happen over and over and again. I have signed up for 57 programs. I've been in the game for 9.5 years. I've literally seen thousands of people lose money, like hand over fist type of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, like bankruptcy money. Like your wife divorces you, you lost so much money because of mistakes like this, where, oh, I thought I analyzed the property correctly. No, you analyzed it void of time, and then crap hit the fan. You ended up holding on to it longer than you expected. Your repairs went way over budget, and then your days on market extended, interest rates went up, whatever the sob story was. Fact of the matter is, you analyzed it based off of a very stupid equation. And what you need to have is a proper deal analyzer that allocates money, both money in and money out, with revenue and expenses, so that you can accurately to the dollar determine whether or not you're going to make money and how much you're going to make.
Okay.
As well as giving you like a risk assessment of, hey, reasonable worst case scenario. Like if the ARV is a little bit less than what you thought, and if you go a little bit over budget and you hold on to it a little bit extra, do we still make money? Or are we losing money at this point? Our deal analyzer makes sure that even with reasonable worst case scenario, you're not losing money. You're just making less than what you originally anticipated. I think that's the right way to analyze deals, because you take risk aside. That's what rule number one of making money. Don't lose money.
Yeah,
Pretty simple.
that is absolutely true. What I really took away there from your whole rant was it really is about being more like a personal. You really want to be personable to the seller that you're talking to and sort of play like a quasi psychiatrist sort of, well, not psychiatrist, a
A little
therapist
bit of a
slash,
therapist. Yeah.
yeah, a little bit of a sales therapist slash salesperson, because a lot of what you talked about was listening to and discovering the reasons behind why they are selling. Because you talked about divorce, cancer, tenants that they hate, and the list goes on. But I think we can forget, even just in our daily lives, that we are interacting with people, and these people have problems that they're obviously not going to make aware to some random stranger that wants to buy their house, but
Yeah.
they're also potentially looking for a person to listen to them vent
Yes.
about the situation that they're in. So
Yeah.
I think that's a really good takeaway for investors looking to throw out an offer. It's this person is selling for a reason, and getting to know that reason behind it, you are better able to A, present your offer, and B, come off more as a investor slash buyer that they want to work with in the future. So,
Yes.
like, for example, say the seller is, you know, has multiple houses, like they've gone through multiple houses, they're looking for their dream home or whatever, and they're moving their families around, and like they will remember you because you came to them and lend your ear as well as fix their problems. So that means a lot to the person that you're dealing with. So in the back of their mind, out of all these people that made these lowball offers and these just crummy crap ones, they're like, hey, I want to work with Keith because he understood and he took the time to listen and help me figure out my problem.
Yes.
So I thought that was a really good
Two things that I
takeaway
want
that I
to
wanted.
add to that. Number one,
Mhm.
I actually get Christmas cards from a couple of the sellers that I have bought
Really?
their house like a long time ago, like
Really?
5 6 years ago. They still send me Christmas cards. They still think about me, which I find is fascinating, especially since I don't send anybody Christmas cards. But the second thing was
Just
I
send
was
them this video.
actually, what's that?
Just send them this video. Be like, hey, I know I get your Christmas cards, but I never send you anything. I just want to like put
So
it on
rude.
the air and say, yay, Merry Christmas to you. Anyways, back to what you were saying.
Um, I was talking with a seller this morning, actually. On my walk, I have this lady who's contacted me. I don't typically handle my own seller leads. The lead manager does that, but this one came from uh, a family friend of mine. And so I said, you know what? I'll handle this personally. And the lady has talked to a lot of people because she has had this house listed with an agent on the MLS for 3 years. So,
Oh,
needless
wow.
to say, she's had a lot of offers from a lot of people, both, regular Joe Blows who are actually going to, owner occupants, people who are actually going to buy it to live there, as well as investors, tons of investors. And man, I wish that I didn't get her permission to record the call or anything like that, but I wish that I could just take the last little snippet of our roughly 25-minute call today, where she basically said she thanked me like an unbelievable amount of times, like more than 10 times. She thanked me in the last 2 minutes. But one of the things that she said that made me feel really good was I've talked to a lot of people, but
Hmm.
nobody has explained it to me like that before. And I just want to thank you so much for the time that you have given me and you've educated me. Um, by the way, this is going to sound so crazy, but the number that we were kind of floating was $2,000. I will give you $2,000 to walk away from this thing and
No.
feed it to me. And so my number is way less than what everybody ever, I almost with certainty can tell you that nobody has offered her less than me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she would walk away with $2,000 at closing. And I didn't make that offer. You know, she actually, literally, the words came out of her mouth. Are you offering me $2,000? And I said, no, I'm asking you a question. So answer the question. I'm not saying that I can get you $2,000 cash at close, but if I did, would you take it? Would you be done with this whole thing? You have to pay $4,000 per year in taxes, and it's $600 for the HOA every quarter. And that's coming up. And so I was kind of concerned about my $2,000, but I explained to her why it was so low.
Yeah.
And it made sense to her. And she super appreciated that I took that time to educate her on the process, to say, hey, I'm not willing to give you an offer, and here's why. Here's my concern. My concern is that you're not going to walk away with any money. Keith, why is that a concern? I'm so glad you asked. Here's why. I walked her through the numbers in depth. And at the end, she goes, nobody has ever explained it to me like that. She said, I'm gonna have it. I have no idea if I'm gonna buy this house, by the way. Zero idea. But she said, you know, I'm gonna go back to I forget what her realtor's name was, but I'm gonna go back to my realtor. We're gonna have a serious heart-to-heart, and I hope to talk to you in a couple of days. Cool. So maybe I'll report back in a week or two to let you know whether or not I've actually put the property under contract.
Updated contracts here.
Yeah.
This will just be a chronicle of the rest of your deals that you make for the rest of 2026. But that's a very good also another good point too, because these sellers, people that we're dealing with, it's like they have no clue. Like I've only gotten their mortgage. Like they've just went to the bank, they got their mortgage, they bought the property, and they just have to deal with utilities, mortgage payments. Like they don't know anything about wholesaling or
Statistics
flipping. Like
say
they don't know
that this is their first or second property that they've ever owned. Most people don't buy more than 2 houses in their life, in their whole life.
Yeah.
This is we do potentially in 1 week more closings than what somebody will do in their whole entire life. And we've been doing this now for nearly 10 years. So we eat and breathe this stuff, but to them, it's a huge deal. And I told her, like, I'm not coming at this from an emotional state because it's not my house. I actually can't get emotional about it. I'm not moving in, and you know that. I need you to understand that if you sell with the realtor, you should do that if money is more important to you than time. But if time is more important to you than money, that's when you go with an investor. But hear me when I say you will get, it is monetarily in your beneficial interest, meaning you will make more money if you sell it with a realtor. Why? Because the person who is buying that from you, they're moving in. They don't care about making money. When you sell to an investor, if you were to sell to me, I ain't moving in. The reason why, just so you know, I'm buying it for financial gain. I'm buying it to make money to feed my family next month. And if you care more about your time, right, because it has been 3 years and 2 months since you listed this thing. If you care more about time than you care about money, realize that people from the outside may think that you just gave your property away. And you have to be okay with that. If you care more about money than you do time, keep it listed with a realtor and just drop the price a little bit. That's sage advice.
It is, yeah. So if you're a seller listening to this, go with a realtor because you'll make more money. Don't ever work with them. No, we're not saying that. But there is different avenues, and there's different avenues for sellers to take. Like you can work with an investor, like Keith here, or you can work with a agent. And Keith just explained that if you want to make more money, go with the realtor. But it could also be the investor is much more hassle-free. So
Yeah.
there are different avenues to
Going
take
to be.
for those
Yeah.
that are watching. But I can't believe it already, but we are already at the half-hour mark from one single question. Do you have time for one more?
Do you want to put it in this podcast or the next one?
Well, shoot. Oh, I think we dove really deep into offers on this one, so I think we'll save it for the next episode.
All right.
So,
Cool.
all right,
Let's do
we'll save the juiciness for the next episode. So if you guys are watching on the other side of this beautiful screen that we call the internet, make sure to watch the next episode that is coming up. All right. Take care, everyone.
Cool. We'll see you then.
We'll see you on the next one. Real estate isn't magic. It's a skill. And the people who win long term are the ones that keep stacking the reps. That means learning, analyzing, staying patient, and making good decisions. If you want to keep building that skill with us, make sure to subscribe and send this to someone who needs to hear it, because I know you know someone that needs to. Anyways, that's all for today. Take care.